There's a bit of oil here as well. I don't like that.
Welcome to Sports and Touring, and today I am heading down to Abbey Motorsport to have some suspension work done. I've been wanting to get my alignment checked for a while, it's been about 18 months since it was checked, and it's always good to make sure that all your wheels are sort of angled and pointing in all the right ways, both for handling, fuel efficiency, tyre wear, all of that stuff. But today I have a very particular reason to have the alignment checked, and that's because I'm going to be doing something that I'm a little bit sad about. I'm going to be raising the suspension a little. Yes, I just love how low this car sits, and I'm really not looking forward to actually raising it, but I think it's necessary because the new front splitter is going on, and I showed you how low that was in a previous video, and you can see how low the front of the car will be with that splitter fitted. So I felt like it was just not very wise to put that on with the front of the car sitting as low it is at the moment. While we're there, we're going to take a reading off of the bumper rebound settings, because I'm going to probably make it just a little bit stiffer. By raising the centre of gravity a little bit, we're likely to get a little bit more roll, so I want to kind of compensate for that with some slightly stiffer damper settings. Anyway, that's what we're off to Abbey Motorsport to do today, so let's get down there and let's get the setup dialed in on the 370Z Nismo.
Now you'll remember Abbey Motorsport because they fitted the KW V3s, which is a three-way adjustable coilover suspension system, and the HLS2 front lifts. Now the front lift has got me out of a lot of trouble.
Oh my god, that is a speed mounted.
It's actually a lot better than I thought. Now as you can see, there really isn't a lot of clearance under this splitter. At the back here, my hand is physically touching the bottom of the splitter, and in fact it's even slightly lower at the rear there. So we're definitely going to have to sort that out. Going to head in there now and make sure that we manage to keep our splitter. What we're going to be doing is setting the height, then putting it on the Hunter alignment system that I have here, making sure that the camber, the toe are set correctly, and then hopefully stiffen up the suspension maybe a little bit, and then we'll be on the road.
It's so oily.
Do you think it's weeping?
See, it's more wet on that side.
Yeah, so you can see this side is all dry. So we suspect that the actual hydraulic lift system is the part that's actually leaking. So we're just going to check the oil levels in the boot.
There's a bit of oil here as well. I don't like that. Probably prefer to take that off and check what's going on, if it's that one of the fittings, or if it's a pump itself. Yeah?
Yeah. This isn't good. Typical, huh? Looks like there's a little bit of leakage from the tank on the hydraulic lift as well. Now we're just putting the wheels back on the rear, just because it's sitting on a jack that's supported on a middle mounting point. Obviously, because there could be no pressure on the suspension at the time if we were going to be adjusting the height. But it's just going to be a lot easier for him to work if he can actually drop the rear of the car back onto its wheels, so it's more stable while he's in the boot, messing around with all of the all of the lines that connect the pump that's in the boot to the cups that are on the front suspension. Alright, so it's back on the floor now, and as you can see in the boot we've got everything stripped out. Well, when I say we, what I mean is Marrick's got everything stripped out because I haven't done a thing. Scott in the office is already speaking to KW just to find out if there's any sort of known issues that we need to be looking at, and hopefully we'll actually be able to focus on the thing we came here to do rather than just fixing an oil leak.
But it's definitely wet, you can see it's wet in here.
Yeah, you see
all that.
It's maybe a few mil below the max line, right?
Yeah, well, 3 mil, 4 mil, I don't know how many milliliters that is. I wonder, because can't see any fittings leaking. There's plugs on the side of the pump, on top of the pump, can't see anything. But what I can see, which is a bit weird, there's a few wet patches around the reservoir on top, which kind of looks like it would be reservoir leaking, like on the connection to the pump. But then there's all that oil here on top.
What about the cap itself?
Yeah, that's what I wonder, if that seal is not good, or was it just not done up really tight to actually seal. Maybe it wasn't, done up properly, and it just, as you drive it, obviously it sloshes around. For now, I will just clean that up nicely, put it back together and monitor it. Yeah, okay. Obviously you have the oil for it. Yeah, just top it off and observe what's
I have it here actually, we can do that before we leave, before we close it up.
Yeah, obviously I need to clean it off.
So I'm hoping it really is just the cap here, because it would just suck if I have to sort out the whole pump. That could, well, I don't know, we'll see if it's got warranty, we're going to find out. Right, so the boot's been put back together. Marrick has cleaned up the whole pump area, the reservoir. Now I've just got to monitor it. Probably on my way home, or when I get home today, I'll have to just double check it. We're suspecting it was actually the cap. Now we need to figure out what's going on with the hydraulic cup on the front right. So you can see here that this is all dry. Now this one, unfortunately, you can see here, there's like oil. So this is where the line comes in to the hydraulic cup. This is what lifts the suspension. So it gets the hydraulic fluid pushed in there, and that pushes that up like that, which lifts the suspension. And just need to make sure that this isn't leaking and nothing around here isn't.
That is tight. That fitting is definitely tight. It didn't come loose or anything like that.
Yep.
Well, guess we need to get Scott, contact KW and sort that out, yeah?
Okay, so you reckon it's the cup that's leaking?
Yeah. It will be the cup. There's nothing that I can see visibly. The road grime here mixed with oil, obviously.
Yeah.
But only at this side, not on that side. So I would say it's a cup.
So now it's going to be a waiting game as Abbey Motorsport wait to hear back from KW. But we were satisfied that the suspension was fine, there was no safety concerns, and the hydraulic system seemed to be working okay with only a mild leak on the cup. So we decided to go ahead with the height adjustments as planned, and of course the damper settings to stiffen up the suspension. The difference between the front and the rear suspension is the front is a coilover, so you've got the dampers in the middle and then the coil goes around the outside of it. On the rear you've got a multi-link, so the dampers and then the spring is separate. The adjustment on the height is done on the spring. Where the height is being adjusted, there's a lever effect, so you actually want to raise the height less than you need it raised. The amount of lift is then being amplified by the lever effect. Right, so next up we're going to be adjusting the alignment. So the process for that is some devices need to be fitted to the wheels. That's used by the Hunter alignment system here at Abbey Motorsport, where some lasers and cameras bounce light off of these devices mounted on the wheel. Then the cameras use the reflections from that light to determine what the geometry is of the car, and then that allows the engineer to fine-tune and make adjustments. Now of course, because we've raised the suspension, we now need to adjust it because that's changed the geometry of the car, and that will change the handling and everything. So we're going to try and just dial it in now. Right, so Marek's going to make the adjustment now, and he's going to be keeping an eye on the screen just so he can see exactly how much it's moving. And why would the camber be different on both sides?
It's not down to, you know, a mil or something, so the arms will never be perfect to be the same every single time.
Sure.
On the car. Some manufacturers want more camber on that side because obviously we're in UK, the crown of the road, and then driving on that side you're trying to push the car up the road instead of down towards the ditch and stuff like that. So Jaguar does that, Land Rover does that. You think about it like you're riding on a bicycle. You want to turn right, you lean right. Not so much you steering with the actual handles. A bit, yes, but most of that is just leaning, right? So it's the same here. If the wheel leans this way, it tries to naturally like roll towards right. If it's cambered in, if it's on the left. If it's cambered out on the left, it tries to go left. I drive to work every day 12 miles and it's horrendous. There's so many bumps in the road, and I do my alignment every year and it's always out. And physically nothing moves on the car that you can actually see. Obviously it's just a big chunk of metal. It moves a bit internally enough so you can't see it, but it affects your alignment. Especially if you see cars parked with this thing will turn and you have like ball that side of the tire or inner or something like that. You see something like that, the alignment is just
gone.
Off the charts. It's just gone.
So getting it done saves you money on tyres. It saves you even fuel as well, fuel economy, right?
Well, it should lose camber when you lift the suspension up.
Right.
But you put the fresh set of coilovers on the car and you drive it 200, 300, 500 miles, it will settle, it will lower itself and will gain camber always.
Right.
Always. So
maybe I should have come back after a couple of 100 miles.
Yeah. Is that the same set of tires?
No.
No. All right.
New tyres.
So
I've had 2 lots on the rear since.
Yeah, but that's all the burnouts.
It wasn't me.
Someone else.
I don't know who did it. It wasn't me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, it basically gained probably like a half a degree or more on the rear in that period of time, and now that we changed it, it lost some camber, but it's more than it was before. Another thing on the lower tires, you need to remember on the bump, you need to have a clearance, right? And you see that clearance is, we can probably get a tiny amount off of that.
Yeah, so that's basically how much it kind of, it rolls, it rotates, doesn't it? Like
on bump, it will gain camber.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to kind of anticipate how much it will gain and what will be your clearance. So I think that's the right amount of camber.
Okay.
It's fairly similar to what you had before, tiny bit more.
Right, so I've just stepped outside to give Marek a chance to just finish off the final fine-tuning on the suspension. So yes, it has been raised slightly, but because of the likely extra roll that we're going to get from the higher centre of gravity, made the dampers a little bit stiffer than they were before. Now what's really cool about the alignment that has just been done is that it's not just, you know, stick it on the machine and change the settings to what the machine tells you to change it to. One of the great things about coming to Abbey is the guys here really know what they're talking about. They run both road cars and race cars as well, so they have a huge amount of experience to know what kind of alignment settings have what effect on the car. And if you can give them feedback about how the car is handling, they can actually fine-tune your alignment. Now, your alignment is something that you really ought to check on a regular basis, at least yearly to every 2 years. And the main things that cause it to be thrown out are bumpy roads, potholes, maybe if you curb your wheel. These are the sorts of things that just move the adjustment out. But I have to say, Marek really knows what he's talking about, and I'm just really appreciative of all the work that's gone into setting up the suspension and tuning it on the car today. So now it's a case of getting the car on the road and feeling what the difference is.
Well, I can tell you right now, I actually can feel that I'm sitting higher in the car. I can actually feel that I'm higher. I can also feel that I don't have quite as much rake just from driving down the road. I can feel it. The car's just not, it's just like slightly more, it's still got rake, but it's not as aggressive as it was before. However, I will say that these new damper settings, I like them. I like them a lot. Oh, yes. Feels better under braking anyway, with the stiffer settings. These are the damper settings I should have had. These ones. It feels wicked. Sounds ridiculous. Oh my God. Oh gosh, sorry everyone, sorry. Oh my God, I love this car. I think there's still some fine tuning to do, but we can't do that until the splitter's on. So once the splitter's on, I'm going to head back to Abbey Motorsport, which I'm going to have to anyway because of this weeping front hydraulic lift. We're going to have to get that looked at, and we're waiting to hear back from KW on that, so I'm going to have to be going back to Abbey anyway. So I'm going to get the splitter on, take it back, see what we need to do about this, the right side hydraulic lift with what seems to be a little bit of an oil leak on the hydraulics. And then we'll see if we could just bring back a little bit of the aggressive rake that the car had before, and see how it feels once I've got the new splitter on and how much adjustment we can really play with. So alignment checks and adjustments aren't just for when you're adjusting your ride heights. Really, you should sort of check it every year to 2 years at least, or if you hit a pothole and you feel that bang, there's a chance that your alignment's been knocked out, so it'd be worth getting it checked after those things. But I like to get mine checked annually, and if you want to get yours checked, make sure you check out Abbey Motorsports. Just a basic alignment check is about £120, so do check them out. I'll leave a link in the description, and of course stay tuned for the fitting of the splitter and refinement and adjustment of the ride height after that. And of course, if you enjoyed today, hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed already, please also subscribe, hit the bell icon, choose notifications on all videos, and we'll see you next time on Sports and Touring.